Aging parents, when our parents begin to age and get old. Hello, y'all. I'm Diana Brianne. Well, as many of you know, I've done a lot of videos on being a caregiver. I took wonderful care of my mom for several years towards the end of her life here when she took sick with Parkinson's and ALS. And she lived independently up until about 3 years prior to her passing, and then she came to live with us. We moved her from California to Texas, and through our move from Texas to back to Georgia, and it was, you know, we had 3 small children at the time. Our children are grown now. And, but we brought my mom with us because she could no longer live independently. She was falling down out there. She couldn't hold the telephone. And yet she was so determined to live independently. And so it was very challenging, especially trying to bring her across country because she wasn't in very good shape at the time. And yet I wanted to make sure that, you know, I could supervise her care, whether she directly lived with me or whether she lived, you know, in an independent type of place, whatever. And she was too sick to really live independently at that point, so she needed to live with us. So she did, up until the point that I could not take care of her due to the fact that she had a feeding tube and things like that, that it really required more nursing care. And so she ended up going to a nursing facility, but I supervised her, you know, made sure I went over 3 times a day to make sure that everything was good with her, that she was getting the right care that she needed. And so it really got me to thinking again about aging parents. I've done a lot of videos on being a caregiver, taking care of my mother, you know, the importance of knowing what to do as we age. What do we want our children to know? Having things in place. There's so many factors when a person gets old. I think it's kind of a two-way street. I think it's really up to parents as they age to have a good plan in place. And it's hopefully up to the children as well to be supportive of that plan. Now, unfortunately, not all parents have supportive children. And unfortunately, some parents can be more challenging than others. And yet, overall, if a parent as they age has a good plan in place, where they want to live. Do they want to stay in the same home that they're living? Do they want to move in with their child? Do they want to move nearby? Do they want to move across country to where they have, you know, more family? You know, these are questions that I think should be asked of the parents should ask themselves, and then share what they want with their adult children, so their adult children can often know what to do. Some situations are not ideal. Some situations, it's not as easy as others. I've known people that have moved near their adult children only to find that their adult children decided to move again, and now they're stuck in a place that they don't, you know anybody, and you know, it's not the place that they originally were from. I've known other people that moved in with their adult children and it worked out beautifully. And so I think we just have to kind of know what will work for us. Everyone's situation is different. Everyone has different factors involved. And so we have to look at our own personal factors, not so much what worked for someone else, because what worked well for someone else may or may not work well for us. So having a great plan in place financially, health-wise, where we want to live, some people just don't know because there's so many variables that are, you know, they're dealing with. And yet the better the plan, often the better the results. And the better that everybody understands that plan, often the better the results. So I think, first of all, adult children need to realize that their parents raised them, and their parents are still mom and dad, no matter how old they get or how big the children get. Show your parents respect and love. And they don't have to be perfect to be wonderful parents. And a lot of times people will diminish their parents by treating them like children. I've seen professionals talk over and around older people, and they'll talk to the adult children. My one friend who's well into her 90s, who has the mind of a 25-year-old, she's so sharp, and she will tell doctors, she'll say, look over here, look at me, speak to me, don't speak away from me. I want to hear what you're having to say. And so I think professionals need to remember that older people need the same respect that a younger person does. And I think younger people need to remember that that's mom and dad, no matter how old they get and no matter what condition they're in. So treat your parent with love and respect. Likewise, as a parent, treat your adult children with love and respect, because remember, they also have their own life, their own family, their own kids, as well as you're part of that family. And sometimes when a parent moves in with an adult child, that changes the whole dynamics. And so people have got to be prepared for that if that's the option that they choose to do. Some people choose to build a little add-on to their home for it, so the parents have their own privacy, but yet that are kind of on the same property. Other times people will buy an RV and they'll live close by, you know, wherever their children move, they kind of move along, you know. I mean, there's a lot of solutions and there's a lot of answers. Sometimes a person has to be creative with how they're going to do things. I always tell my kids, if y'all move away, I'm just going to buy me a motorhome and drive that motorhome and park it in your driveway and take turns in each of your driveways. And that might be a solution, but probably my kids will always be around where we are. So, and yet I think that would be a great idea for some people, not for all, but for some people. So I think that everybody just has to find what works for them. But the better the plan, the more thought out the plan, and the more that we can share it with reliable others, hopefully our children, often the better the plan will be, and often the better the results will be. But the most important thing is to know that your parents are your parents and treat them with respect and love. From my house to yours, may God bless you. I hope you like, share, subscribe, and I hope to talk to you soon again. Bye-bye.